righteous remnant. Romans 11:3, Lord, they have killed your prophets and torn down your altars, and I alone am left, and they seek my life. Romans 11:4, but what does the divine response say to him? I have reserved for myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to Baal. God always has a righteous remnant. There will always be a people of God. Romans 11:5, even so then, at this present time, there is a remnant according to the election of grace, unmerited favor, kindness. Throughout the prophets, they speak of the remnant of Israel. At present time, there is a righteous remnant of grace. Romans 11:6, and if by grace, then it is no longer of works. Otherwise, grace is no longer grace. It would not be a gift, but a reward for works. But if it is of works, it is no longer grace. Otherwise, work is no longer work. The righteous remnant of today is because of grace through faith. The righteous remnant are not those that think they are righteous because of their actions and works. We're talking about salvation, righteousness by grace. It is either grace or works, but not both. Grace is important. Works are important. Ephesians 2:8, for by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God. Ephesians 2:9, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. Ephesians 2:10, for we are his workmanship, created in Messiah, the anointed one, Jesus, Yeshua, for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. We are saved by God's grace. We are not saved by any works. We are not saved by a combo of grace and works, but saving grace does work. Grace produces good works. Works don't produce grace. Romans 11:16, for if the first fruit is holy, the lump is also holy, and at the root is holy, so are the branches. Messiah, the anointed one, is the first fruit. Messiah is the root. Messiah is holy. Messiah, the first fruit, holy. The root, he's holy. We are holy because of our faith and identity with the Holy One. We're not holy because of things that we do in and of ourselves. We're holy because of Him, the Holy One, Messiah. Romans 11:17, and if some of the branches were broken off, and you being a wild olive tree were grafted in among them, and with them became a partaker of the root and fatness of the olive tree. We are grafted into Messiah. We are holy because of Messiah. We're grafted into the great plan of God, the great plan of redemption and salvation. Romans 11:20, well said, because of unbelief they, Israel, were broken off, and you Gentiles stand by faith. Do not be haughty, but fear. Romans 11:21, for if God did not spare the natural branches, He may not spare you either. Once we are saved, we're not always saved no matter what, though that's a popular teaching. Romans 11:22, therefore consider the goodness, grace, and kindness, and severity of God on those who fell, severity, but toward you goodness, grace, and kindness, if you continue in His goodness, grace, and kindness. Otherwise, you also will be cut off. If we don't continue to believe and continue in the grace of God, we will be cut off from God's plan of salvation from Messiah. Romans 11:23. And they also, if they do not continue in unbelief, will be grafted in, for God is able to graft them in again into His great plan. Romans 11:32, for God has consigned, pinned up all men to disobedience, only that He may have mercy on them all alike. Everyone, Jew and Gentile alike, all under sin, all to obtain salvation, righteousness, mercy by faith in Messiah. Romans 9:30, what shall we say then? That the Gentiles did not follow after righteousness, who did not seek salvation by right relationship to God, have attained it by faith. A righteousness imputed by God, based on and produced by faith. Romans 9:31, whereas Israel, though ever in pursuit of a law for the securing of righteousness, right standing with God, actually did not succeed in fulfilling the law. Romans 9:32, for what reason? Because they pursued it not through faith, relying instead on the merit of their works. They did not depend on faith, but on what they could do. They have stumbled over the stumbling stone. Romans 10:1, brethren, with all my heart's desire and goodwill for Israel, I long and pray to God that they may be saved. I pray that they may be saved, and there's only one way to be saved. Romans 10:2, I bear them witness that they have a certain zeal and enthusiasm for God, but it is not enlightened and according to correct and vital knowledge. Romans 10:3, for being ignorant of the righteousness of God ascribes, which makes one acceptable to him in word and thought and deed, and seeking to establish a righteousness, a means of salvation of their own, they did not obey or submit themselves to God's righteousness. Romans 10:4, for Messiah is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. The law, the end of the law, Messiah brings in a new era, a purpose. The word end here from the Greek is the word telos. And it does mean end. It means goal, the point, aimed at, purpose, conclusion, result, termination. And so we see here again that Messiah is the end. He's the goal. Messiah is the point aimed at. He's the purpose. He's the conclusion. He's the termination of what we would call this righteousness, because righteousness comes by faith in Messiah now. Romans 10:4, for Christ, the Anointed One, is the end of the law, the limit at which it ceases to be, for the law leads up to Him, who is the fulfillment of its types, and in Him the purpose which it was designed to accomplish is fulfilled. That is, the purpose of the law is fulfilled in Him, Messiah, as the means of righteousness, right relationship to God for everyone who trusts in and adheres to and relies on Him. Romans 3:31, do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yes, we've established the law. We fulfill and establish the end purpose of the law when we put saving faith in Messiah. The purpose of the law, believe it or not, when you look biblically at the purpose of the law, it was to magnify and to point out sin. Its purpose was to place everyone guilty, condemned under sin. Its purpose was to show everyone's need for salvation and mercy. Its purpose was to point us to salvation and righteousness in Messiah. The law wasn't brought onto the scene to save us, to forgive us, to make us all good. It was actually to point out the bad, to see how much we need Him, Messiah. The law and its strong, high, holy demands are only met by us as we put faith in Messiah and receive God's love and then continue to live in that faith and love. Righteous remnant, Romans 9:27, and Isaiah cries out concerning Israel, though the number of the sons of Israel be as the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them will be saved. A remnant of Israel will be saved. Romans 11:26, and in this way all Israel will be saved, as it is written, the deliverer will come from Zion. He will banish ungodliness from Jacob. This is a popular scripture where people just kind of quote it a little out of context, saying all Israel will be saved. Well, all Israel, speaking of the remnant, will be saved in this way if they place saving faith in Messiah. We have to read everything and understand everything in its place. Righteous remnant. There is a righteous remnant that will be saved and delivered. Salvation and righteousness only comes one way, and that's through Jesus, Yeshua, Messiah. Ezra 9:8, and now for a little while grace has been shown from the Lord, Yud He Vav He, our God, to leave us a remnant to escape, and to give us a peg in his holy place, that our God may enlighten our eyes and give us a measure of revival in our bondage. Micah 7:18, who is a God like you, pardoning iniquity and passing over the transgression of the remnant of his heritage. He does not retain his anger forever, because he delights in mercy. Zechariah 8:12, for the seed shall be prosperous, the vine shall give its fruit, the ground shall give her increase, and the heavens shall give their due. I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these. The righteous remnant. Be part of the righteous remnant and receive and believe and trust in Messiah today.